The picture you see right there is seated the two gentlemen. One of them's a gentleman, the other one is a goddamn racist. Is Justice John Roberts, Chief Justice John Roberts, and to his right is a racist by the name of Anton Scalia. May he rest in hell. This man has done more to hurt the cause of the black community in the past 25 years than any other person. I'm playing this clip from the Rachel Maddow show to illustrate my point.
But when you get to see the justices in person, not only do you get to see the unspoken body language and reactions and the way they treat each other on the bench, you also get to hear the reactions from the crowd gathered to hear the arguments in the case. And that day in 2013, in the courtroom for the Voting Rights Act case, I could report from firsthand experience that Justice Anton Scalia said something in the arguments in that case that caused the crowd to gasp. Now, because of the way the justices were mic'd for the audio recording, that gasp from the room was not recorded for history, but I was there. I can tell you it happened. In response to Justice Scalia explaining away why, in his view, Congress had voted repeatedly and nearly unanimously to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act.
This last enactment, not a single vote in the Senate against it. And the House is pretty much the same. Now, I don't think that's attributable to the fact that it is so much clearer now that we need this. I think it is attributable, very likely attributable to a phenomenon that is called perpetuation of racial entitlement. It's been written about whenever a society adopts racial entitlements, it is very difficult to get out of them through the normal political processes.
Voting is a racial entitlement. Really. This motherfucker believes that voting and the protection of voting rights for African American people is a perpetuation of racial entitlement. May he rest in hell. But that wasn't all that this asshole said from the bench. Let me continue the clip.
The perpetuation of racial entitlement. This is what Justice Scalia said about the Voting Rights Act, about voting. It's a racial entitlement. Justice Scalia was obviously against the Voting Rights Act. But then a moment like that happens, and you realize that what he's arguing is that the Congress is too cowardly, too scared to get rid of the Voting Rights Act, as they should, because they've been somehow racially blackmailed. And so therefore the Supreme Court should take it out of their hands. Justice Scalia also once famously compared animus against gay people to animus against murderers and polygamists and animal abusers. He had a special knack for that kind of argument, I would say, on a lot of different issues, but particularly on the issue of race. Just a couple of months ago, in oral arguments on a case relating to affirmative action, Justice Scalia again said something that resulted in gasps throughout the courtroom.
The University of Texas at Austin says to achieve a level of campus diversity that improves learning, race must be a factor in admissions. But could it be, Justice Anton Scalia asked, that affirmative action harms some students?
There are those who contend that it does not benefit African Americans to get them into the University of Texas where they do not do well, as opposed to having them go to a less advanced school, a slower track school where they do well.
This motherfucker basically just said that black people are not as smart as white people. That's basically what he said. So again, may he rest in hell. He was a racist. His ass should have died before he struck down Title V, whether shot, stabbed, or anything else, because I'll say it again, he has done more harm to black people than any other person in the past 25 years.
And some studies show that most black scientists do not come from elite universities.
This court from lesser schools where they do not feel that they're being pushed ahead in classes that are too fast for them.
That produced a few gasps in the courtroom.
Justice Scalia on how black people in higher education should go to slower track schools because they're more likely to do well there. There's a reason Justice Scalia was so polarizing.
Yeah, because he was a fucking racist.
Kind of stuff. It made him not just a conservative justice, it made him the conservative rock star of this court, and it made him a leader for the conservative majority that this court has had since the 1970s. Part of the reason the succession of Justice Anton Scalia is such a big deal is that when President Obama does replace him, for the first time in a generation, there will be a majority of Democratic nominees on the court. So yes, conservatives are losing their rock star, but conservatives are also about to lose their majority.
And that's why they're losing their minds, because thank God this racist motherfucker died. I absolutely cannot believe that people think that he was an originalist as far as a Supreme Court justice is concerned. He, in his own words and in his action, striking down Title V of the Voting Rights Act, was the most activist Supreme Court justice that we've ever seen. So for people to say that he was conservative and he basically went to the written law, that's a bunch of bullshit, because he did not say that Title V was unconstitutional. He said that people who looked at the law were afraid to vote against it. That does not make the law unconstitutional. So say it again, may he rest in hell.